Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, we know you're just like us. You love to overland, you love to camp, you love to go canoeing, maybe biking, something like that. Any number of things, Charlie. How can Rhino Rack help me for any of my adventures?
We like to make space for adventure at Rhino Rack. So whether you're biking, hiking, skiing, camping, overlanding, we want to help you outfit your vehicles on those adventures. So we've got a variety of accessories and racks and systems that get you out into the woods to help you do that, or down to the beach, or off to the mall. Whatever it is you want to do with your automobile, wherever you want to take it, we want to be a part of it and help you make space to do it.
I know Rhino Rack loves two things, durability and versatility. Let's first talk about the durability. How are the racks from Rhino Rack made?
So we were born and bred in the Australian outback, right? So you've got
enough said, right?
Exactly. If it's tough enough to survive the outback, it's tough enough to survive your adventures in the United States or anywhere else you go. Fully aluminum trays, fully aluminum accessories and bars, right? So we've knocked off that corrosion problem. Any stainless steel and any hardware is going to be corrosion-proof, powder-coated. It's going to handle your salt spray. It's going to handle your UV rays. It's a rack for a lifetime, for sure.
And of course, I might add a warranty. You guys stand behind your products, of course.
Absolutely. We want to be as tough as the adventures you take, so you can give our customer service a call, and we're going to take care of you for everything we can.
And now let's talk about the versatility here. Now we have the bed rack here on this Toyota here.
Right, the Recon deck.
Yeah, the Recon deck. What sets us apart from some other racks we're going to find out there?
First one, safety, right? So we have to operate within the means of the vehicle. So our Recon deck system works seamlessly with your factory rails on your vehicle. So your Toyotas and your Dodge, things that have those racks, we're going to work with those. The system's going to work and be versatile for any of your ventures. So you can outfit this as a single bar, as a 2-bar. You can put a platform up there. You can put a basket up there. Anything that you want to do with the bed of this truck to double your storage capacity, the Recon deck's going to let you do it.
And let's talk about installation, because that's another concern people will have. Do I need to take this to a pro? Can I do it myself?
Definitely a do-it-yourself-at-home kit. So each vehicle is going to have a specific fit kit that's going to allow the towers and the bars to fit that vehicle. And it's just, you know, it's an afternoon in the garage, an afternoon in the driveway with some friends. All your installation tools are included with the product, and we make it easy on the instructions step by step. So definitely something you can take on yourself, or if you're comfortable, take it to a professional.
Let's quickly brush through the step by step. We just installed this a few minutes ago, and it didn't take long at all.
Right on. So we recommend just getting everything mocked up, open all your parts, check all your instructions, make sure your hardware is there, make sure all your pieces and you understand what they are. And then you're simply just going to pop out the end caps on your rails, follow that in with some hardware, line everything up one piece at a time, build it from the ground up, right? We started with the towers, then we added the crossbars, then we added the north-south bars, and if you wanted more adventure on top of that, you just keep adding your accessories.
And let's talk about accessories. What kind of things can I put on my rack from Rhino Rack?
Sky's the limit, right? So from rooftop tents to traction boards, shovels, recovery gear, kayak racks, storage boxes, all of these things. Whatever you can dream up, we've most likely got one of 100 accessories that'll fit that.
Lots of accessories from Rhino Rack. You brought a couple to show us. Let's see what you got.
So we've got the new large Stow-It. This new product is one of our launching the Stow-It families. This guy here is a multi-tool holder. It's going to hold something at about 2 to 3 inches in diameter, so you're going to be able to get an axe or 2 axes and a shovel or whatever it is that you want to put in here. This is a pretty versatile product in our new Stow-It lineup. Something else that comes with is an insert for a high-lift jack. So we all know how difficult those things are to carry around.
They always rattle.
They always rattle.
You never find a way to keep it secure, lock it up or anything.
That's right. So we've answered all those questions, right? With that insert and the pin, we can close this down. You can see it's going to surround your handle and it's going to surround your I-beam. It's going to work with our master lock fit sets at Rhino Rack. So this answers that, and this bracket here is going to allow you to mount that to any surface. It doesn't have to be mounted to a roof rack at all. You can put this on a trailer, you can put it across your hood like guys like to do. Anywhere you can put that, it's going to hold your high lift jack for you.
And all these, of course, detach really easily because you have this system here.
That's right. Our Stow-It starter kit's going to allow you to get home, right? We always have to find a place to put this stuff. So say you want to change it out for the weekend, you want to put an awning in place of a shovel, or you want to just take the awning off because you don't want to drive to work with it on Monday. The Stow-It starter pack system is going to allow you to have a different set of mounting brackets that'll leave the foot on the rack, and you can remove the accessory when you get home and stow it for safety, just for convenience, fit in your garage. And when you get out to adventure, you can snap that back on, and one bolt's going to hold it in place for the whole trip.
For weekend warriors as well, you have the quick mounts.
That's right. So, yep, our quick disconnect leg system. It's going to have our quick disconnect feet. So these are going to slide in, allow you to drop it into its base, and once it's attached to the vehicle, they'll snap back out. They'll sit right into a little base. It also comes with a cover, so if you get home and you want to take the whole system off the bed of your truck, the whole system off your roof, you can take it up, hang it out, or even switch it out for something different if you want to.
Rhino Rack can carry all the gear you need to get into trouble but you can also carry the gear to get us out of trouble as well.
Absolutely. So with the Max Trax lineup, we've got a full range of recovery boards from the absolute extreme. If you're getting into the worst trouble, the extremes are going to take care of you, all the way down to something like a daily driver with our brand new light edition boards, right? Something we want to consider like a spare tire, right? If you can get into the trouble, we want to get you out of it.
With Rhino Rack, it doesn't just stop with Max Trax. They have a full line of recovery gear. You can find all of this and a whole lot more at rhinorack.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by dragonfiretools.com right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, is brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics, Shade Wagon, throw some shade, and by DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
Tapered wheel bearings. You have roller bearings. We also have ball bearings. Now these things have to carry an immense amount of weight, both axial and radial, up and down, side to side. You better have a fluid that's up for the challenge. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. We're talking about bearings, specifically axle bearings. Well, what does that mean? That means in your axle somewhere you're going to have some bearings. I'll show you on the table here, but this one actually has a bearing here on the outside. This is an axle bearing out here. It supports the axle out here, but a lot of times they leak. So the fluid not only has to lubricate all of this, it has to go out here and lubricate those bearings as well. Now that could be a pretty tedious job if you have to change them, so you want to try to avoid that in the first place. To do that, well, you have to go inside the differential. And to go inside the differential, you have to remove the cover. Once you do that, depending on your axle design, you may have to pull a C-clips out, or Ford, sometimes you just slam them from the outside. You don't have to go in there. But this one, you have to go inside of there and actually remove this little C-clip. That's the only thing holding your axle in. Then you can go ahead and pull the axle completely out. I told you it's a pretty big job. You have to have some specialty tools. Once you have that out, you can go ahead and put the driver in there. Once you put the slide hammer in there with a couple of good blows, you should be able to knock that bearing out. Now, once you knock it out, just check your differential, make sure it's in good shape, and then you'll use a driver and you go ahead and put it back in there and make sure that it's already seated. Once you do that, you can replace the seal. Like I said, that's a pretty big job. This axle here has bearings here on the inside and the outside. Len, to do all that work, I'd like to avoid it in the first place. How can we do that?
Well, you can use a decent gear lube to start with. Something that we do at AMSOIL very well is our gear lubes. We've got different viscosities for any of the different vehicles. As these vehicles continue to search for fuel mileage, we're finding that the gear lubes are getting lighter in viscosity, and that makes the job that much more difficult because the fluid is inherently thinner. Thin is not necessarily great when we're dealing with all of the pressure and heat that's developed by a differential. So you have to make sure that you're building it properly. So good film strength, good base oils, proper amount of additive to make sure that it's resisting oxidation.
Yeah, you're doing the axle bearings, depending on the axle itself, and all the way on the outside, so it has to move as well.
Right, it's got to move in all temperatures, right? It has to be thin enough to move in the cold, but thick enough to protect in the heat. So it's kind of, you need the best of both worlds. You have to understand the application and then formulate properly.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Axle seals going bad, well, that could be a huge hassle. We're talking about a damaged differential, brake shoes, pads are all ruined. Why not keep them protected with the best differential fluids and so many other awesome products? Just go to amsoil.com.
We now turn our sights to Oklahoma. That's where we find our paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week. It's Cheryl Kyler, and Cheryl has one of the finest examples of a fourth-generation Camaro you will ever see. She had a '79 Camaro, but when she met her husband Fred, he sold it and bought a pickup truck. Cheryl always wanted another Camaro, and they finally bought a fixer-upper about 10 years ago. Fred tinkered with it, and he slowly brought the car back to life. Out went the 5.7-liter engine, in went a 6.0 from a Cadillac Escalade, and the seats, they're from a WS6 Trans Am. The wheels are from a Z06 Corvette. And get this, all of the striping and lettering on the car was done by hand. No decals on the car at all. Fred put it all together, and by that time, he told Cheryl it was too late to repaint the car, but she really wanted blue,
So Fred did what any good husband would do. He had it painted blue, and he surprised her with it. And things like that, well, that's how you stay married for 42 years, folks. Cheryl Kyler is our PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week with a little help from husband Fred. You can be the next PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. Just send us a note at MotorheadGarage.tv. We shall return with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. See you in a few.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, coming to you from the Shade Wagon studio.
Thanks for hanging with us here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. A lot of folks write in about some things they've seen before on the show. We're going to pull this one out from the archives. We think you'll love it. Shock Therapy is the premier destination for off-road suspension tuning, and you're going to find out why. Now, Justin Smith started this company about a decade ago. And Justin, for the folks that may not know Shock Therapy, give an overview of what you guys do here.
You know, what we do is within the UTV and off-road industry, we pretty much make UTVs ride better, or for your particular needs. If you're a racer and you need to go fast, we can dial that in. If you're kind of a cruiser in the mountains, we can do that as well. So every time we touch one, we kind of make it exactly what that person wants.
And what was that evolution like? You know, word of mouth and everything. Where'd this all start? You're in a massive facility here.
As a matter of fact, it was in my 3-car garage and grew up very slowly over time. But when that started with just a small amount of people and us doing it ourselves, we really were able to touch every single customer perfectly, and we learned a lot about what they wanted. We were able to put that in all of our products today.
We see here in your shop, folks have brought their vehicles in for you to do the suspension on them. Now, folks are able to do that at your facility here and in North Carolina. What about folks that can't bring their vehicle in?
You know, we have a mail-in program that we call Shock in a Box. And everywhere in the United States and other countries, we get shocks in here to do the tuning for them. Australia, South Africa, and other countries that you may not even realize that UTVs are in, we get shocks from. But we're able to dial that in by having an appointment system. Every car you see in here and every shock that is mailed to us is scheduled for a specific day. So that customer knows that if their appointment is on the 3rd, they have their vehicle to us on the 2nd, it's done and it leaves on the 3rd. If it's mailed into us, it's done and it mails out on the 3rd. So shock internals, modifications, rebuilds, spring kits. We can do all the installation of rack and pinion, tie rod systems, radius rods, and other components. We make a lot of things to allow these vehicles to go faster than stock.
The secret is in the parts you use here. Now, first of all, let's talk about the OE shocks and the OE suspension that's coming from the manufacturer. They're good, but why don't they always work when you start getting more and more into off-roading?
The OEMs have to tune for the masses. Well, the fact is the masses aren't exactly all of us. We want to play with this stuff exactly the way we want it done. So we're able to tune UTVs to do the specific job for each individual's needs. If you start adding weight or accessories to these, they sit too low and don't ride very well. Well, we fix that with spring kits. And if you drive a little bit too hard or harder than the UTVs are designed to be used, we can fix that too and allow you to do what you need with your car.
And you've told me as you start to go faster and faster, things start to break in succession there.
Exactly. The succession of breakage and components follows the speed at which you're going to drive. And we are enthusiasts just like our customers are. So we've driven these speeds and seen what the first things are to break, and we manufacture a component to fix that. After you fix that part, you might find that the next thing to go is short down the line, and we make that component as well. You can see kind of a list of components on this bench right in front of us.
And these are the same parts you can find on the Mud Monster behind us, and also really this closer to stock vehicle as well. Different parts for different folks here.
Yes, a lot of people think that we just tune for race cars because the racers are the ones that typically break everything, but that's absolutely, couldn't be farther from the truth. We tune for the guy that drives super slow, retired on the weekend, and just does trail riding and wants to be relaxed and comfortable. Well, we also tune for things like this Mud Monster behind us that's completely on the other side of the spectrum that most people are never going to do. But where most of our components live is in that happy space between the two, where people need a little bit more out of their vehicle, and we make the parts to do that.
Let's talk about some of the components on this monstrosity back here, starting with the sway bar here. That's something we're going to find on there. How is that an upgrade from what might be stock on the UTV?
Factory UTVs typically have a lot of body roll, and a lot of people don't like that feeling when they enter into a corner, and sway bars typically fix that. Stops a lot of the body roll that you get when you enter a corner pretty quick. So sway bars can give a feeling of stability, safety, corner speeds you typically will go up, but sway bars aren't the answer to everything. Fast, desert driving might be a home run for sway bars. But on the East Coast with trail riding and slower speeds, independence might be the way to go. So no sway bar or disconnected sway bars for certain terrain in use, and stiffer sway bars and adjustability for others.
And after we're talking sway bar, what's another consideration here? You have the rack and pinion. How is this more beefy than what I might find on a stock UTV?
So usually the first accessory people put on their UTV is a set of wheels and tires. They more than likely weigh more than the factory system, and that extra weight puts a lot of stress on the steering and other suspension components. Factory rack and pinions tend to wear out pretty quick, and the last thing you want is a little slop in the steering. So we build completely in-house, billet and high-quality components inside of our rack and pinions. Rack and pinion systems typically that we make don't wear out over time and give a lot more stability to the vehicle as you start adding weight to it. Other things that we find as you kind of go through that progression of components that you had already mentioned, steering and tie rod systems. We've got tie rods saying here as well, and all of our tie rod kits are adjustable so that you can fix the geometry issues that you might run into with a list of the aftermarket accessories. Fix bump steer, which bump steer is a change in tow and comes back into the steering as feedback that most people don't want. And our tie rod kits fix that. Extension clunk is very, very common with UTVs, and a limit strap kit that we offer cures all of that so you don't wear out parts inside the shock as well. Other things that we have besides sway bars, sway bar links, are electronic shock upgrades. We've got a system called IQS, or Intelligent Quick Switch, which allows you to take a manually adjusted and tuned shock externally and make that electronic, where you can tune it on the fly on the dash so you can run soft and plush when you're going at slow speeds, or you can turn it up if you want to hit that jump or that G out a little bit too hard.
All kinds of parts and accessories, things that are going to make your ride a whole lot nicer and maybe a whole lot faster if that's what you're looking for. Shock Therapy is the place to go. And we've got a whole lot more. Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfire Tools, next.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. Cunningham Automotive, American racing tradition. And by AJE Suspension, your source for the best aftermarket suspensions in the industry.
If you've tuned into Motorhead Garage before, you've probably seen the Clamptite tool, and it's an amazing tool that has all kinds of applications. Sonora, your father invented the Clamptite tool, and you've perfected it and brought it along here. What can the Clamptite tool do? Why does somebody need one for folks that haven't seen it before?
This is an amazing little tool, and what you can do is you can use it as a reducer. This is a big pin to a 1/2-inch hose. You can use it as a banding tool. So if you need to band things together, those ratchet type banders, so you can use the Clamptite that way. But you can make the best hose clamp. It's the right size, the right shape clamp.
So how do I use the Clamptite tool?
Well, let's start out. We're gonna measure our wire and see how much wire we need to use. So the easiest way to do it, you can wrap the wire around the project like this and give yourself about 6 inches on one end and then go around 4 times. And then we're gonna cut here. That assures us, even if you have a more rigid wire, then it's gonna work. So go to the middle and then straighten them out.
And that'll find your center point, and you'll know where to start.
Exactly.
It's going to be the same no matter what kind of wire you're using?
You can use almost any kind of wire with this tool, and that's one of the things that's so impressive. You can use it with a coat hanger, a tie wire, electric fence wire. Be careful with copper because it's so soft. It'll stretch and then pull loose. The stainless steel is our favorite. So we fold the wire in half, go through there twice. Now we're going to separate these, make sure they're straight, and then this is where we're going to connect the tool.
Okay.
And I'm going to turn it this way. Bring the wire over the pins on each side. That's where the pressure is, and it needs to be nice and snug. Now check it out. This is why the tool works so well. We folded the wire in half and we have that loop, right? So we're going to put that loop in that notch on the nose. Actually, you're pushing against the outside part of the wires. The insides of the wires,
because you're wrapped around there, is also pulling.
Exactly. That's why the tool works so well. It actually pushes and pulls and evenly distributes the pressure. How many times have you taken a pair of pliers and a piece of wire and you twist it to get it tight? fine line between tight and broke. So what this does is it reduces the friction that's delivered to that wire.
And with a regular hose clamp also, you're getting all the pressure in one spot, and it can kind of make a flat spot there, but this is going all the way around.
Exactly. You know, they have tested hose clamps, and there's nothing consistent about the pressure that it holds.
Really?
And a regular hose clamp, it's difficult to actually inspect it for failure because underneath a regular hose clamp, a lot of times there's corrosion there and it'll break. That's where it'll pull loose. With a Clamptite, you can see how nice of a clamp that makes.
Yeah. And for folks that maybe they're doing a hot rod or something like that and they want the original look of these top post clamp like this or a regular hose clamp, you can put the hose clamp on around the Clamptite clamp. There you get the great seal and the aesthetics you want from the tower clamp there. But let's finish this one off and see how you complete the Clamptite clamp itself there.
Okay, so if you have the room, you're going to pivot the tool all the way. That locks it. Let's say you have limited space. You're going to keep the tool straight up and down. You're going to tighten it in this position. All you need is a 30-degree angle off center.
Just to get it up over the hump.
Just go over the hump. And now you're going to cut these and then bring them down one by one, because a lot of our customers are asked this very same thing. I love the tool, but I can't use it in tight spaces, but this way you can.
And you have different size tools to accommodate smaller spaces too.
We do, actually, yeah. We have our mini. It's about half the size of the other one, and a lot of the builders love that. So we're going to push your ends toward the middle, lock them in place. There you have it.
Excellent. Well, there's a billion different applications for Clamptite's clamps here. You can find all the different sizes and you can find lots of different applications at clamptitetools.com. Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, returns next week. We hope you join us then. Until then, drive safely.